the last 5 years, I've spoke to thousands of agencies and creators, and in every single case, I find that the difference between their success or their failure is oftentimes their talent. My name is Liam Turnbull, CEO here at TDM, and over the last couple of years, we've grown over 100 creators to the top 0.1%. And today we're going to talk about how talent impacts your growth and market share. Now, imagine a world where Real Madrid or Barcelona tried to be the very best football team with just one player. The chance of them succeeding is virtually zero, and that's because a team will always outperform an individual, and the team's performance ultimately comes down to how good those team players are. It's very much the same within companies, and OFM these days is no different. Gone are the days of being a solopreneur within OFM. Rewind a few years and it was literally just a case of get some TikToks over to creators, assign some VAs to do some chatting, and you could make a lot of money as an OnlyFans manager. But in 2025, there are too many moving parts. There are too many competitors, platforms are too advanced at trying to deflect you away from monetizing their platform, and so you have no choice, frankly, but to have a team of A-grade players if you want to capture a market share as an agency or dominate the space as a creator. In any team, when you're the leader, if you are genuinely the best at any given thing, then that is most likely a bad thing. Your ego will probably kill your growth if you have the mindset that I can't let anyone else do it because I know how to do it best. That might be true here and now, but the only reason it's true is because you haven't trained somebody to become an expert. I back myself in being an incredibly competent person, but here at TDM, there are guys that are better at chat, there are guys that are better at ops, there are guys that are better at traffic, and that's the reality of being a successful leader. Your team have to excel so that you can grow the business. One of the primary benefits of hiring a great team is that you can buy back your time. This applies to both you and, if you're at a bigger scale, your senior team as well. Bringing people in to relieve you and your senior guys of tasks within their diary that drag them down, don't make the business money, we can assign those to new hires so that we can buy back the time of our senior team to help move the needle in the business. This is a concept that I got from Dan Martell in his book, Buy Back Your Time. And to be honest, it's completely changed the game here at TDM. I really recommend you look into that. This process not only gets you that time back, but it also forces structure to take place because you directly hire beneath certain people, creating a chain of command. But in order to successfully hire that person, that process involves an SOP, which means that we start to build out structure, we start to create processes and inevitably systems off the back of that we can either automate or innovate to improve. And so our business as a whole becomes way more efficient. This applies to you as an agency or as a creator, whether you are working with an agency or you've got your own team, or as an agency, whether you've got guys overseas or in-house. We can do this process consistently and we can constantly get better at it. One of the next things that I think is revolutionary for getting the best guys into your OnlyFans business is that the stigma about being involved in the industry is fading. We were trying to hire corporate guys in 2021 and everybody would frankly not touch us with a barge pole because it's adult, right? And it's scary. And a few years ago, it was incredibly taboo and it just wasn't an option for the corporate world. So if you wanted to bring in CMOs, CTOs, COOs, CFOs, it just wasn't an option because they would hear the industry and run a mile. But in 2025, it's not the case. In fact, in many cases, they're actually more interested and intrigued by the opportunities because they recognize that risk correlates to reward. And nowadays, it's becoming less of a problem. It's been in the news and around us on social media for years now, and so people are more familiar with the business model. They recognize that it's actually an industry rather than just a trend. And off the back of that, we can standardize expectations based on these corporate hires. You bring in people that bring a team, that brings systems, and it creates a minimum expectation for how people should conduct themselves in your business. Because of this process happening, you can actually take on people that have got experience with OFM, which is a totally new world because when we were starting, we essentially had to raw dog everything from the systems and processes that we had to make ourselves on Google Sheets or whatever it was to figuring out how we could even navigate the whole traffic and chatting problem because we were one of the first in the space, and so it meant that we had no choice but to essentially make it up as we go. Whereas now you've got people like us and thousands of others that have been there and done it. And so you can learn from what they did, you can see what did and didn't work, you can watch their mistakes unfold in real time. Lots of people give genuine, honest feedback online, and you can take all of that and you can cut out a lot of that back and forth. The trial and error period that we had to go through can be wiped clean because you have access to things like this channel. One of the biggest problems is that when people come to actually hire, they don't consider the culture. We feel here at TDM that culture is key, and that's why we've invested millions of pounds into an office space. That's why we invest millions of pounds a year into the best talent in here that aren't necessarily even here for any technical or specific benefit, moreover are here for the team, which sounds like a redundant cost, but creates a culture that returns us 5x. And one of the most important parts of that is that we've actually built a team locally. Now, by no stretch are we saying that you can't have overseas hires. In fact, there are lots of cases where I think you benefit from entirely overseas hires. You know, if you're a guy, for example, who has a super simple social media strategy and you're working with Asian creators and therefore totally fine with Asian chatters, there isn't really a need for you to have a local team, and it's probably an expense that you'd incur for no real reason. Whereas if you want to build a genuinely big agency, you want to work with Western creators, you want to provide agency-led traffic, you want to build a corporate business, then you're going to need local people here in the office with you, spending genuine time together as a team, collaborating and building something impenetrable. That can't happen overnight. That can't happen with cheap overseas hires. We find that we get a massive return on investment from the guys that we pay for here physically in the office. Yes, an English team will cost 5x a Filipino team, but our return isn't just on the revenue per hour on chats or in the amount of subs that come in each day. It's in the accumulative responsibility that we create, the service that we then deliver to our creators, the motivation and innovation that occurs in the office because we have this team. And a lot of these things just simply don't produce direct results. It's moreover indirect long-term benefit that you can't quantify. Either way, you've pretty much got to pick your poison. If you want a physical team, it's going to cost you more. If you want an overseas team, you're not going to build the culture. Your time differences are going to be all over the place, potentially run into language, data connection, power problems, but that's for you to decide. The final tip is that you should hire slow and fire fast. This is the same in any industry, but it's very true within OFM, because if you bring in guys or girls that aren't serving your agency, then you're quickly eating into this what is already a slim margin in many cases, and it can actually cause the business to not be profitable, especially at a small scale. Whereas if you get the right guys in, they can really move the needle, and that little bit of creativity can help you sign a new creator or run a new traffic strategy that can 10x the business in 2 weeks. And so getting the right people in is genuinely the biggest contributing factor to your growth. Now, a little pro tip would be to share with you what I think is the most important order of hires for an agency. Presuming you are a solopreneur, the absolute first hire must be a chat team. Now, this I think should be a combination of you and someone else so that you can really get to grips with the psychology and the way that things work in the space. A chatter ultimately to take care of the time when you're not available, and long term to replace you on those chats once you've built out the SOPs and that you're confident you know the business. After you've got the chat team in, I would bring somebody in straight away for traffic. Traffic is what moves the needle in OFM. You can have the best creators, the best chat, the best operations, the best company structures, but frankly, if you're not bringing in any traffic, no creator is going to experience value, no account's going to grow, it's never going to be a successful journey. So getting someone in early to focus on traffic is really a must do. From this moment on, you should be bringing in marketing team as you grow. So for every couple of creators that you take on, I would be taking on an additional marketing personnel. This ensures that you can provide around the clock service to all of your creators with ideation, content planning, content reviews, basic deliverables such as posting or auditing the way that things are done, and really just ensuring that you are providing the best possible service to creators. This should keep rolling in the background, as of course will the need for chatters. So once you've got the marketing and chatting teams rolling, really the next sort of hires that I would be looking at is somebody from an operational standpoint, because inevitably there is going to be a need for a lot of contractual stuff, invoicing, team management, rotoring and shifts, etc. And so having somebody who can just take care of a lot of those basics is essential. You don't need a CFO or a financial director, but somebody to come in and do some finance admin as you start to grow as well is, in my eyes, worthwhile, because you can quite easily return the cost of somebody from a finance department as you become more efficient with expenditure, tax planning, etc. And then the only other hire that I think people often miss out is somebody for incoming leads. So essentially recruitment, but for creators. If they sign one creator every couple of months, they'll pay for themselves. It's really that simple. And the reality is they can probably sign more than one creator every couple of months if they're working on it all day, every day. So it's a surefire way to see a lot of people return your business and investment into staff. And I think it's something that will inevitably help the business grow considerably long term. If you want to build an A-grade agency or you want to become an A-grade creator, then you need an A-grade team.